Yes. I have requested the guest, ma'am. He will come and join now.
Is that okay now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can see. Now you can start chat.
I'll start the.
Sorry for the inconvenience, sir.
Yeah, it's okay. Can you see the screens now?
Mm,
Hello?
Yes, sir.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can see. We can see.
Yeah. I'll just rush through the slides from the beginning
Okay, sir.
so that it will be useful for your recording. Yeah, we have an automotive mission plan which I've just briefed about, and there is an initiative by the government for the development and increase of electric vehicles and adoption of electric vehicles in India. And with respect to EV, there are four basic and essential component or four basic departments: the power electronics, electric machines, energy management system, and energy storage system. And we'll be focusing on this webinar, especially with the battery management system. And before that, just to give a brief idea about the battery construction, it is formed with the cells as a module, and those modules are formed as a pack. So these cells and modules are connected in series parallel to the required voltage of the as per the design of the vehicle. And the functions of a BMS is as follows: with respect to monitoring, energy recovery, thermal management, computation, protection, communication, and then connecting to the load. So the first function, the major function, is the monitoring function. It monitors the voltage, that is the total voltage of the entire system, or individual cells present voltage, or minimum voltage of the cell on the maximum voltage of the cell, or voltage of a periodic taps. Because the construction of the EV battery, as I showed you, that is a combination of individual cells into a module and combination of modules into a pack. So that is with respect to the requirement of the vehicle design. If the vehicle demands for a 48 volt operation, the batteries are designed in such a way. The combination of batteries and The pack is designed in such a way. If the operating voltage is 300 volts, accordingly those battery packs are designed. If the operating voltage is about some higher voltage, that means above 600, 650 volts, up to 1000 volts, that accordingly, based on the requirement of the power as well as the requirement of the voltage, those batteries are designed. Okay, and then the temperature. It monitors the temperature. So the average temperature, coolant intake temperature. This coolant, you may think about coolant. You just imagine the cooling system which is being used in the IC engines. There is always a water jacket available in the engine, which takes care of the absorption of heat produced by the engine by way of flowing the coolant inside. And those coolant is getting cooled again by the radiator. So the same thing is being applied here. So the continuously monitored temperature is being monitored for the calculation of your state of charge. So here is an important term, SOC, it is being called, or the depth of discharge. So this indicates the charge level of the battery. That means the dashboard has got the indication of a fuel gauge. You can just imagine the fuel gauge of your vehicle, where it shows the available fuel level in an analog system or a digital system or whatever it is. So the same way, the state of charge is also being displayed on the front screen for the driver to understand the level of battery charge which is available for him. And the same way, it monitors the state of health of the battery, that is the measurement of remaining capacity of the battery, and the state of power, the amount of power available for a defined time interval based on the earlier consumption, that is the earlier connected load. So it gives you the state of power based on various computations and calculations. The same way, the state of health, that means the health of the battery is also being monitored by the BMS. It is for the main purpose of safeguarding the people, safeguarding the vehicle, safeguarding the system, safeguarding the battery based on the health that is, safety that is monitored. Of course, all these SOC, SOH, SOP, SOS are almost interconnected one to one. For the understanding purpose, it has been deliberately declared as individual terms. So, and then is the indication level of the coolant. So whenever you use a coolant for cooling of your battery packs, definitely you need to monitor the level of the coolant, pressure of the coolant, flow of the coolant, which takes place inside the battery. And next comes to the energy recovery. Energy recovery is nothing but the regenerative braking, which is called as energy recovery, because when you run the vehicle using electrical vehicle, using electric power or fossil fuel power, there is a kinetic energy involved in the running vehicle. So that kinetic energy is being transferred to the batteries for the charge of the battery. So this is what you call as energy recovery inside the electric vehicles. The BMS has got the important to make use of that recovered energy from the kinetic energy vehicle. So for that, there is an SOC level which is being above 80%. There is a headroom always maintained in the battery, which is again governed by the BMS to avoid the overcharge risk in case of the energy recovery to the batteries. So that is why the operating range is selected between 40 to 80. Nowadays, the batteries are being developed in such a way to have a minimum range up to 10% also. So the working band is getting increased day by day. There are so many researches going on. But anyway, there will be a energy recovery. That energy recovery is also getting increased with respect to research and development to make use of those energy for application of brakes and other things. And next is the function of BMS. which is almost another important function of the thermal management. So you can just see the screen, which is the lowest temperature, that is from minus 60 degrees to the 10 degrees. It is a very safe limit where that BMS keeps quiet. And then up to 40-45 degrees, there will be a low voltage. So your anode is getting the solute, and then your voltage is fed to the BMS, and then accordingly, when the temperature goes up based on various reasons, if there is a problem, your temperature first goes up of the battery. So the problem may be your voltage may be low, your voltage may be high, your current inrush current may be high, or your other ambient temperatures also be some having some issues, and the separators which are inbuilt on the battery packs might have got some manufacturing mistake, and it might have got deteriorated due to usage of the battery, and there may be a breakdown in your electrolyte, there may be a pressure drop, or there may be a pressure variation, or there may be an excess pressure inside the battery pack because of some leak of the coolant or some leak of your electrolyte, or the slowly it will build up, the temperature will go up to 20 degree, and then up to 180 degrees Celsius, up to 190 degrees Celsius. There is a term called thermal runaway, where that battery goes into a thermal runaway. So that would be a very late activity. Before that, there are certain activities which is taken care by the BMS, like your PTC sensors the sensor the temperature, and your fuse blows up, and then your separator shuts down, and then your circuit interrupt device gets on, and your current to the load is shut off, and vehicle is brought back to limpo home mode. That is, you can just move the vehicle, you cannot drive the vehicle. So this is with respect to the safety of the person who travels in the vehicle or who drives the vehicle with respect to thermal management. So this is an important aspect with respect to the safety of the vehicle, or state of safety and state of health is very much involved in this management activity with respect to BMS. So there are certain impairment, maybe due to the malfunction of this thermal management issues inside the BMS, and which is somehow recoverable, and some items which may not be a recoverable item. So that depends on the efficient functionality of the BMS. And I'll move on to the next slide. And next comes to the computation. The computation is nothing but whenever we monitor some input. So whenever we take some input, so our governor, the gatekeeper, which is the BMS, it is being directed, or it is being programmed. It is being written with certain algorithms to calculate the charging current or a discharge current limit, or the energy which is delivered from the last charge, from the beginning of the cell, from the beginning of the vehicle, and from 0 kilometer or from 100 kilometer, whatever being programmed in the vehicle, which is there to display on the screen. So those things are computed by the BMS, and the energy delivered since the first use, or total number of cycles, or total operating time since first use. So these are sort of various informations with respect to the design of the computation algorithms. So the BMS takes care of those computations and stores those data into the system and delivers it to the CPU. So whenever the battery, I mean the vehicle is connected with a guy or it is online monitored on online, so those data are being transferred to the central database. The same way your SOC is also computed inside the BMS with the various algorithms written inside the BMS. There are two basic methodologies for calculating your SOC and SOH, which is called direct and indirect methods. In direct method, we have electrochemical impedance spectroscopy and open circuit voltage calculation and Coulomb counting method. There are some other methods also, which is called some indirect methods like adaptive filter based method, model based method, and adaptive artificial intelligence based method. So those methods are some of the names I can tell you: the Kalman filter or an extended Kalman filter or a recursive least square algorithms, or a H infinity filter algorithm, or electrochemical model or electric circuit model on the model based algorithms. And you can nowadays this artificial neural network is being used by many of the BMS manufacturers because of the enormous data that is being generated using EVs, because almost all the EVs are in being given to the customers with a connected facility also. So every day there is a lot of data getting generated. So what are we going to make use of that data for the improvement of the efficiency of the battery, as well as the range, increasing the range of the vehicle, etc., etc., etc. So those things are being analyzed by use of various artificial intelligence algorithm, that is fuzzy logic or artificial neural network algorithm or a genetics algorithm, or some particle swarm optimization algorithm. And apart from that, there are some other researches also going on with MARS, SMCPF, SVSF, and SMO, MGLO. All these kind of algorithms also being tried out by various manufacturers at various R&D area. So this BMS is a continuous R&D prone area where every day some kind of a new research is going on towards the improvement and safety with respect to the consumer and customers.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, sir, you have categorized as direct and indirect methods, no, sir.
Sorry, I could not.
Sir, excuse me. Can you hear me now, sir?
Yeah, please.
Sir, which is the best method which is implied for the selection, sir?
Madam, there is no such best method being declared by any of the manufacturer or any of the forums also, because the method what you are going to choose is mainly based on your application.
Okay.
So and what you require from the algorithm that you are going to choose or BMS that you are going to choose, it mainly decides that. See, for example, I'll tell you, I'm into the manufacturing of electric buses. If you take a bus, the torque is important because your initial load is high. Whereas if you take the vehicle which is a passenger car, your load is limited. Whereas in the case of bus, the load is not limited. 35-seater bus or 50-seater bus, we cannot expect the general public to follow those rules and regulations. Whereas in the passenger cars, we as a owner or as a driver, we cannot allow beyond 5 people or 6 people in a passenger car. So your BMS is designed in such a way to take care of more torque or to take care of more power. So that decides your BMS. So the BMS, what you adopt according to the application itself or your own design, that is the main criteria where this is being decided. Okay.
Thank you.
I'll come to the question session also, because I think we are running short of time.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
It's almost 11:45. And of course, and next, the function of BMS with respect to protection. You can see protecting a single cell is hard enough. So hope everyone will accept this, because we ourselves face some kind of heating in our own mobile phones, which we use every day. So somebody might have experienced this. Of course, almost all the people might have experienced this. So just imagine to protect a battery pack which is connected in many series parallel connection according to the requirement of the voltage and power. So in general, the cell protection is the prime function of the BMS. So the cell function, the cell protection, what it has to do? It has to address some undesirable events which might occur on the battery packs. There may be an excessive current during charging or discharging. There may be a short circuit. There may be a over voltage, under voltage, high ambient temperature, heat up, and pressure on the coolant side or electrolyte side inside the battery, the impact of ambient temperature, and there may be an isolation issues, there may be an insulation error, or there may be some abuse. You can just imagine an accident of the vehicle. So during that accident, something goes wrong. What needs to be done by the BMS immediately? So those things are coming under the protection design of your BMS. And if you see the current protection, just see the screen, the safe operating zone of the overall available zone, you can just see that it is almost about some 25% of the overall available area for working with respect to the cell. So here you can see the fuses which protects you from the thermal issues, and that resettable fuse which is there in the safe operating zone, and your protections. And apart from that, there is a safety margin which is being given before going into the failure zone. So just think about the level of protection which is being given in the battery management system to handle those batteries. With respect to current is this one, and with respect to voltage is this one. So there is a electronic protection and electronic protection for the battery as well as charger. So when the battery is getting charged, it is prone to get more temperature than it is used for discharge. So that is why this electronic protection for the charger is given over and above the battery for protection with respect to function. And next is the important one for the communication. So what are all the various areas that a BMS needs to communicate? The BMS needs to communicate with your engine ECU, and the BMS needs to communicate with your motor. The BMS needs to communicate with your powertrain controller, that is your inverter, and it has to communicate with your DC-DC converter. So the DC converter, what they are doing is it is converting the available high voltage DC into a required 24 volt or a 12 volt DC, which is required for the console operation and your dashboard operations and other operations. So necessarily the BMS has to communicate with your DC converter also, and that the BMS, the batteries are monitored. There is a battery monitoring unit which communicates through CAN bus and which monitors your SOC, which analyzes your demand and which analyzes your logbook. So based on the earlier usage and based on the trend scenario and your earlier genealogy and traceability and your charging equalization and external chargers where you're going to charge your vehicle, and there is an onboard diagnostic tool is available in the vehicle where your error codes are generated, that is a diagnostic trouble codes. So all these things need to be neural system which communicates with almost all the parts of the body and makes the entire body a functional one. So this pick here to make a fair understanding of various communications, those are all involved by the BMS. Rather than giving in a text, I just thought of giving a picture which can give you more understanding about this various aspects of communication involved with the BMS with respect to EVs. And another part of BMS is battery connection to the load, that the function which is being taken care by the BMS before connecting it to the load. So there is a pre-charge resistor. In most of the battery systems, the load and the charges have high capacitance at the high current side facing the battery. The high current levels for extended periods of time can definitely damage the system, where the connection contacts or may get welded. So that is why these pre-charge resistors plays a important role to control the inrush current. So this is a simple circuit. This is being explained. So this pre-charge resistors and pre-charge circuit is available inside the BMS, and with this we can explain. I mean, we are coming to the functions. I mean, the tail end of the functions, and after this, I will just explain some of the topologies which is being used. BMS. There is a centralized topology and distributed modular one, master slave one. If the voltage is on the higher side, that is, if the BMS is designed for a heavy vehicle application or a truck application, your voltage and the power rating of the battery is on the higher side. So those areas mainly is done with the master slave controller of BMS. This is another example of a topology for a master slave. You can see one master surrounded by 5 slaves, which is there about some 80 cells, which gives you about some 256 voltage. So this is for 256. Just imagine the case of 650 volt architecture, what is being used on the buses. And another example for your understanding, I've given this ring topology, which is being again called as a daisy chain topology. So I am not giving much of the information with respect to the theory, because I'm basically from a practical side person who is there in industry. Based on our own industrial experiences, we just wanted to share some practical aspects. And the battery management system is expected to work with various respect to the operation of the function. It has to work in the idle mode. So in the idle, will not allow current. All functions will be done by the BMS. Whereas in the charging mode, functions and current from the charger to the battery pack. And there is a discharge mode where the vehicle is expected to run. So it allows the current from the battery pack to the load. In the BMS performs all the functions except allow. See, that is that current interruption device takes care of this. Whenever there is an error, so immediately your CID. So the name CID you can remember well, I believe. The CID stops its function. So these are the various some of the key modes that is being used in the vehicle. Finally, I will go to the summary with respect to BMS. The functions of a BMS suitable for an EV definitely should be below requirement. usually has to maintain all the cells within their operating limits. It has to protect from the given tolerance conditions, and providing a field mechanism in the case of uncontrolled conditions or a loss of communications or an abuse. That is, in the case of an accident, it has to provide a fail-safe mechanism. That is, you have to switch off your high voltage from the battery, and you have to take care of the passengers. And isolating the batteries. I don't want to read the screen. And finally, you ask me that emergency condition, it has to go to the limp home mode. So which is there in the vehicle, that means the vehicle will limp. You cannot drive the vehicle faster. You can just limp the vehicle and take to the nearby service center or call somebody who is expert for the service. So practically, you can determine the vehicle desired based on the operating modes, whether it is an accelerating, braking, idling, or stop, and implement an associated electric power management actions are being taken care by the BMS. So this is a fair rough idea about the BMS and what are all the various functions that is being taken care by the BMS. So I think with this we can go to some questions session. Hello.
Hello. Thank you for your outstanding presentation, sir. It was really a pleasure for us to listen. Now the floor is opened for queries. Students, you can either write in the chat box or you can unmute yourself to raise your queries to our guest today.
It is a great opportunity for you to interact. Do not waste this opportunity. Come forward, clarify all the doubts, even if it is very silly.
Yeah, you may please ask some questions. The more you ask, the more you will get delivered from me. Whatever I know, I can share you.
Formula Bharat team is requested to come forward.
I'm not your teacher, or I'm not your lecturer. I'm here to just share my experience with respect to electric vehicles, because I'm in the field of this particular electric vehicle manufacturing for the past 3 years. And before that, I was with manufacturing of fossil fuel vehicles. So basically, I am an electrical engineer. So I thought of shifting myself to electric vehicle manufacturing. So you may please ask your queries or clarifications or some doubts with respect to the presentation.
Sai Sanjay has asked a question, sir. The voltage will be reduced after passing through the converter. This is the information you have told. Will the current correspondingly be increased, or the whole power from the battery to the motor will be regulated?
No, you mean the DC to DC converter?
I think he is talking about that, sir.
Yeah, madam, see, when you take the design of the vehicle, there is 2 different DC voltages being used. One is the high voltage side, which is being used for the propulsion of the vehicle. And another one is the instrumentation part, that is your dashboard part, which is being operated with either 12 volts or 24 volts. So for that, you cannot go for a separate low voltage battery again. Because in your regular fossil fuel vehicle, we have a DC 24 volt or a 12 volt battery, which may be a lead acid battery or some other battery. So from that, we will make use of that voltage for the low voltage applications. Whereas in the case of an electric vehicle, there is only one source available, that is high voltage side. So high voltage DC is available. From that high voltage, we are stepping down using a DC to DC converter and making use of it for the required areas of your dashboard application and your other instrumentation application. In that, the connected load is defined because activities are very much defined, and your DC to DC converter takes care of the supply of the low voltage from a high voltage. So hope I have.
Yes, sir.
Can you explain the working of pre-charge discharge circuit and its importance in BMS? Pre-charge is nothing but it is only a simple pre-charge resistor circuit which protects the battery from getting inrush currents due to the load. So once the pre-charge is done, then your switching to the high voltage to the load is taken care in the vehicle. That means the battery discharge takes fully to the load after your pre-charge. Can an EV be powered by installing solar panel on top? Yes, Ms. Srilekha. Yeah, solar power can be used, but imagine the requirement of the kilowatts. Will you be able to give the required power by way of using the roof of the vehicle? Will it be sufficient? If it is sufficient, definitely can be used, but in practical, it is not sufficient. I'll tell you one example. You just imagine a bus which is of a 9 meter and a 2.5 meter width. That regular bus what we see on the road. If it is an EV, we need a minimum 350 kilowatt hour battery to run it for a range of minimum 250 kilometers with AC and other passengers load and etc. This is on the practical aspect. You just imagine to produce using a solar cell with the power required for a 9 meter bus. Will it be enough to make use of the roof of the bus? So definitely it's not. Practically it's not.
Sir, Aparna Raji has asked, what type of batteries are used currently in electric vehicles?
What type of batteries are used in currently in EVs? Just a moment. Can you see the screen now?
Yes, sir. Yes.
These are some of the various lithium-ion batteries, whereas you can see that lithium titanate, that is LTO batteries, and NMC batteries, lithium, nickel, manganese, cobalt. These are the main two types of lithium-ion batteries which is being used in the current scenario of vehicles. And of course, there are certain research and development going on all around the world towards that solid-state batteries and safer electrolyte batteries, etc., etc., etc. So these are some of the latest batteries which is being used.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. The same question is asked by Vibin too. Is there any other alternative for lithium-ion battery? Is fuel cell as any scope? Yes.
As of now, there is no equivalent replacement with respect to lithium-ion battery, and fuel cells are being worked out. You know, fuel cells are, of course, you need to take more safety with respect to fuel cells compared to EV itself. The safety is very, very important, and in the case of a fuel cell, it's again more vulnerable and more dangerous. So your safety circuit involves more cost. So that is why fuel cells are still under research. And of course, it may take another 10 years Because in the case of an EV, if you say zero emission, you have to necessarily say that tailpipe emission is somewhere else in the world. We are polluting the world. We are not polluting our cities by way of giving pollution gas from the vehicles, but somewhere else we are polluting. And what are we going to do with these batteries after the lifetime of the batteries? So those are the real challenges in front of us practically. So fuel cells will be an alternate solution for this, but based on the complexities involved in the fuel cells and the safety aspects involved in the fuel cells, so it might take some time for the fuel cells to emerge as a alternate option for lithium batteries.
So right to have a question in this. Generally, EVs does not. We have come for the zero emission. That's why we prefer EV. But still, though they do not exhaust fumes, but still these batteries can emit toxic fumes, right, sir? So is it not creating a negative impact in this vehicle designs?
Madam, see, the solution, you cannot have a 100% solution for any problem. So the right now what the world is facing is the pollution issue because of the fossil fuel vehicles. So the immediate remedy is EV. It's already there for the past 10-15 years in China and other European nations like Norway, Sweden, Belgium, Germany, US. There are almost billion vehicles are being used as of now, and it is expected to cross about some 50 million by 2030. So just imagine the case of pollutions developed by these vehicles. If you take the overall pollution in the world, 44% caused by the vehicles.
Okay.
So that is why it is decided to go for EV.
Okay.
So that you can come out of that pollution. And in that 46% also, 45% is caused by the heavy vehicles. So that is why the government is mainly focusing on the commuting buses first. So that is why these schemes and all brought out by the government, that FAME scheme and electric mission plan, automotive electric mission plan, those things and all, coined only based on the pollution calculations which are done by various agencies and various governments around the world. So that is why it was decided like this. And as you said, after 10 years, definitely there will be an alternate for the lithium ion battery also. If we say solar, I think the solar cell's life is 25 years. After 25 years, how are we going to dispose the solar cells? Again, it is
again a myth. Yes, sir. Another one question from Advai: that does hybrid vehicles consist of similar system for their electric operations?
Madam, hybrid vehicles is almost top all around the world now. There was a interest in hybrid vehicles before 10-15 years, and of course there are some hybrid vehicles also running in the world. Why hybrids are not being recommended is the complexity involved in that. Because if you sell a vehicle, you need to take care of the vehicle as a OEM or as a manufacturer. You need to support the customer for a minimum period of 5 years as per the law. But for 5 years, how will you develop all your service network, all your repair network? And that too in a country like India, where we don't go with a genuine service parts and genuine service centers. It is highly difficult to maintain hybrid vehicle system. So that is why hybrid vehicles are not being given much importance. Sake of R&D and for the sake of portfolio fulfillment, all the manufacturers are using hybrid vehicles. And we will also say that we have a hybrid vehicle.
Thank you.
If the customer wants, they can buy.
Okay. Yoga Ravindan has asked which is to be chosen first, motor or battery for a given load?
We have to choose a battery for motor rating or a motor for a battery rating. for a given load. No. So you have to choose first vehicle. Which vehicle you are going to run? Are you going to run a two-wheeler or a three-wheeler or a four-wheeler passenger application or four-wheeler truck application? So that decides the requirement of your power for your propulsion. That is the motor, right?
Okay. Yes. Then Vishnu has asked, what is the maximum capacity of the battery at present?
Sorry, ma'am.
Maximum capacity of the battery. Battery capacity
of
at
the
present. Batteries, sir. Batteries. At present
Madam,
used in EVs.
no, this is a very hypothetical question. I would say. I can tell you one example. The batteries which are being used on the buses that we make, either a 9-meter or a 12-meter bus, which can handle about 56 seater. We are currently making use of 340 kilowatt hour battery pack.
Okay, sir.
And this 340 kilowatt hour, you cannot make a single battery pack. Okay.
Yes.
So we need to necessarily go for a string of battery packs.
So there are arrangements we have to take.
What we have done is we have made it into 3 strings. Each string will give you about some 110 kilowatt. So totally about some 340. So design of the vehicle in such a way, every individual string can handle the entire vehicle. So in case of a failure, at least one string, the vehicle will run and go to the nearby service center or somewhere else. Immediately the pop-up alarm, that is what we say that limp home mode.
Okay, fine, sir.
All the strings cannot fail at the same time, correct?
Okay, sir. So it is done for the safety also.
Yes. Exactly.
Naveen Vaishnav has asked a question. There may be a lot function done by BMS. Will the battery drain when the vehicle is at rest for a long time because lithium-ion batteries are self-discharging?
Yes.
It will drain.
Yes. If you practically what is being experienced is if you make the battery pack idle for a month time, it will give you a loss of charge from 0.5 to 1%.
Okay. And graphene batteries, whether they are under testing in EV. Nishant Kumar has posted this question.
No, madam. As of now, even in our R&D also, graphene batteries are not being tried out because the manufacturer first has to come out of this to the vehicle application. Even the graphene battery is not being tried out the application itself. It is still under R&D.
Okay. I couldn't get the answer, sir. Is there any specific reason why it is still under R&D?
No, it is not being proved out for the applications of the automotive, right?
Okay, sir. Okay.
See, if I'm the manufacturer of a graphene battery, I would get to make it use with the automotive application. Then only I can approach one automotive guy. Then the R&D of the automotive guy make use of that battery and applies to his application, monitors it and calculates it and runs it for an endurance, and then only it comes to the market. So there is a very chain of R&D involved in any single item which comes to the market, right?
Okay, sir. Thank you. Akshay Nair has asked a question. How to change between charging and discharging mode of battery block in Simulink? Can we use the mechanical energy of the wheel of a vehicle and charge the battery?
Yes. You can make use of the regeneration and charge the battery. That circuit is also inbuilt with your BMS.
Yes, sir. Simulink part we will discuss tomorrow also, ma. We will be dealing with MATLAB and Simulink part tomorrow. Okay. Yoga
But right
then,
now I don't have this Simulink. I'm not prepared with this Simulink.
okay, sir. Okay, no issues, sir. That is not a matter. But regeneration is possible. That is answer for your question.
Regeneration is fairly possible. That is what you call as energy recovery, the function of energy recovery.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Yoga Ravindan again is insisting on this point. He is confused about choosing a battery for motor rating or a motor for a battery rating for a given load. His question is, which has to be done first? Either
it is going to be
sir, is it audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
He is very doubt about choosing a battery first on motor rating or a motor first for a battery rating for a given load. Which has to be chosen first? He is confused.
Whether it is a motor or a battery, for what you are choosing it? You have to decide the application first, right?
Yes, sir.
The application is already defined, sir. Application is already defined. Now the question is whether to go to decide the motor based on the battery or decide the battery based on the motor. Application is defined.
Madam, see, once your application is decided, first you need to decide on the range, or first you need to decide on the power, which you will decide basically. See,
range.
For example, can you please tell me which application you are talking about?
No, I just repeated the boy's question, requesting him to come unmute and discuss. Yeah, unmute and discuss. Yeah, instead
Yoga
of
Ravindan, you can unmute and you can talk. You can very well clarify the question to him.
In the meantime, I think we can take next question.
Yes. Listen, Raj has given a question. How to choose the topology in selecting the connecting cells in BMS?
Are we going to use battery cells and form the battery pack?
Yes, sir.
In the case, if you are going to do some activity at the lab or something, you can choose any topology based on your application. Topology is mainly decided based on the application. If the voltage requirement is of the low voltage, you can directly go to the centralized one. If it is going to be for high voltage application, that is, you are using a 650 volt architecture or a 330 volt architecture for your vehicle application, then definitely you have to go for a master slave application. See, your application only decides your topology.
Yes, sir, of course. Bharat is asking, how many packs does the electric vehicle contain and what is the range of the battery used in normal EV? Normal electric vehicle.
EV in the sense? See, madam, nowadays we can see electric autos on the road, which works on a 48 volt architecture.
Okay.
Okay. If you take the range of that particular auto which is running on the road, they may give you a 30-kilometer range, as well as they are giving delivery autos for 150-kilometer range. See, your range is increased based on the kilowatt capacity of your batteries.
Okay. So how to decide about it earlier, sir? When the range is completely different, the same application, but the range is varying based on the customer needs sometimes. Okay.
Yes.
So how we will define about the battery pack and how to make it in a container without hurdles, by any other hurdles because of that one.
That is what just now I said. We are running with the buses of 340 kilowatt, which is divided into 3 different strings. If I don't want, I can take out one string.
Fine.
So you have to design your vehicle in such a way even to run with one string. See, if you say that you are going to run your bike on electric, you can take one battery or 2 battery or 3 battery also. You can have a switching mode, or you can have club all the 3 batteries together by way of designing your BMS in such a way to give a long range, because all the 3 will be used and your range will be increased.
Yes, sir. Fine, fine, sir. Rahul Kumar has asked, can flash charging revolutionize the way of using electric vehicles? Can flash charging be practically implemented in India?
Yeah, it is practically implemented, not in India. And of course, we are also working on that. You need to understand the infrastructure requirement to install it practically. We need to have a high voltage charging facility on par with the railway tracking system in all the bus stops. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Because flash charging works on the principle of high voltage inducing for the battery charging. That is, it will get flashed and charged within 2 minutes or 3 minutes. That is the bus stop time. The bus comes to the bus stop and stops there for the 2 or 3 minutes for the passengers to get down and the new passengers to get into the bus. In the meantime, you have to charge your batteries. That is what you call as a flash charging device.
Okay.
It is a kind of a pantographer arrangement similar to the traction system. You need to necessarily provide the infrastructure at the bus stop, maybe about some 11 kilovolt or 25 kilovolt, the range based on, again, your bus's batteries.
Again, the
So
timing
whenever-
plays the major role, sir. Timing, within that particular time, it has to be charged. The boarding and the...
that is what you have. The time that bus stops at the bus stop.
Yes.
Say that is what you said, is 2 minutes or 3 minutes. Within that 2 minutes or 3 minutes, the bus will get charged.
Okay, fine, sir. And Magesh, sir, our professor, he has asked how to reduce the charging period compared to the discharging period.
How to reduce the charging period?
Charging period. The time taken to charge. He wants how to reduce that when we compare to the discharging period.
That is what, madam. See, there are different types of charging. One, as of now in the world, there are 2 different types of. One is the fast charging and one is the flash charging. In fast charging, you use the voltage similar to the vehicle, and by way of they call it as a charging coefficient. Your charger, the charger which you are going to use for charging your battery, if it has got a 2C level of charging, that is, I have a 650 volt architecture at a 200% or a 200 conversion factor. If the charger is that capacity, as well as your batteries also should have been designed in such a way to withstand that double the amount of charging.
Okay.
You got my point?
Yes, sir.
Because
yes, sir. Clearly.
it includes from the manufacturing of battery packs itself. You can see, if you see a battery pack, there will be a mentioning of charging device with a 2C rating or a 0.5C rating or a 1C rating or a 1.5C rating. You can see this in almost all the battery packs.
Okay.
So that means you can charge that battery 150%, 100%, or 50%. So that decides your charging time.
Okay, sir. It is clearly given in the specification itself.
Correct.
Okay, right, sir. Thank you. Vipin is asking, can supercapacitors be used as energy source because it has quick charging property compared to the lithium-ion battery?
It has got quick charging capacity, that is fairly accepted, but practically it is not proven to make use of that in consideration of the safety requirements, because it just acts as a capacitor. Just imagine where the power requirement goes beyond 100 kilowatt or 200 kilowatt hour capacity of the battery. Can you just imagine a supercapacitor to that extent? So the practical aspects, see, all these things are theoretically okay, and we do that experiment with a very low connected load at the lab level. When it comes to practical applications, these things is not viable. That is the reason supercapacitors are not being used as of now.
Okay,
And of course,
fine.
there are certain researches also going on. Let us see.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Will the rate of discharge be more while using a regenerative method? It's a question given by Akshay Nair.
Rate of?
Rate of discharge, will it be more when using a regenerative method?
No. See, when regeneration happens, it is almost no discharge from the battery. When that regeneration occurs.
Hello, is it audible? Yes. Hello. Am I audible, Shankar sir? I think I'm not getting the proper link. Sometimes it happens.
Hello.
Am I audible, sir, now?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes. Now it's okay, sir. For a few seconds past, I didn't get anything. Anyway, sometimes technology changes like this. Okay. Now, next question is: recharging of batteries require more time than the gasoline engines. Hence, vehicles may be stopped for more time, isn't it? Aparna Raji has asked this question.
When it comes to there is remove the battery from your vehicle, put it on the swapping station, and take one more battery from the swapping station, put it on your vehicle, and you can start running. This is swappable battery model.
So it takes time, obviously.
No, it takes only 2 to 3 minutes.
Oh, fine, sir. Sankamitra has asked a question: what is used on some electric and hybrid vehicles to cool the power electronics and charger modules?
Sankamitra, what is used on some electric and hybrid vehicles to cool the power electronics and charger modules? Nothing, madam. It is almost the same. I would say it is same.
It's same.
Water jacket. For battery as well as power electronics cooling when it comes to the high voltage. And some part of the world where the cold countries are there, they make use of air cooling. But coolant usage is very efficient.
Okay.
Especially tropical regions like India.
Okay, sir. Thank you. And another question, the same thing. Does ambient temperature affect the battery range?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the wonderful question and answer sessions. I think we have come to the end of the session. I have to, on behalf of our management and HOD and all our fellow colleagues, I would like to give my sincere gratitude for your accepting the invitation and participation so far. I know that you have got to work after 12 o'clock. You are being here even if it is 12:30. Thank you very much, sir. Now over to Maurya. Now over to Maurya for proposing the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Okay.
I'm deeply honored to have been asked to deliver the vote of thanks on behalf of the department today. First, I'd like to thank Dr. Shankar Ramachandran for giving us an excellent coverage about the battery management systems in electrical vehicles, sir. Thank you, sir, for patiently answering all our questions and for spending your morning with us. We sure did learn a great deal from you, sir. Thank you. I take this opportunity to extend our hearty thanks to our principal for his perfect support and making time for us. Thank you, sir, for being a part of today's webinar. We extend a heartfelt gratitude to our head of the department for her active participation, guidance, and constant motivation. Thank you, ma'am, for inspiring us to keep learning. We would like to extend our gratitude to all our professors for arranging and coordinating today's live session and for letting us be a part of it. Thank you. And lastly, I'd like to extend heartfelt gratitude to all my fellow mates for being a part of today's session and patiently and taking part in it without till the end patiently. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you on behalf of the management and principal.
Thank you all the students
faculty. Yeah.
for patient and thank you all this. You can very well get in touch with me for any case of clarifications by way
Yes,
of
sir.
mail or other mode of communication. You can get in touch with Ms. Kavita.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
I'll
Thank
just
you,
push
sir.
off.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.